My dear brothers and sisters, there is a secret that whispers through the early hours of dawn, a secret that only the awakened heart tastes and only the grateful soul understands. It is the secret of barakah, that divine blessing that enters your life so softly, yet transforms it so completely. When the world is still, when the sky is painted with the faintest shades of gold, when the angels descend and mercy fills the air, those are not ordinary moments. That is a sacred invitation, a gift wrapped in silence, a doorway opened by the one who controls time, destiny, and every breath we take. And yet so many of us, after offering Fajr, return to sleep. We close our eyes at the very moment heaven is opening its doors. We turn away from the blessing when it is at its peak. My dear friends, do we not realize what we are missing? After Fajr, the world is different. Your heart is soft. Your mind is clear. Your soul is closest to its purpose. In those moments, Allah places a special kind of barakah in your time, in your health, in your sustenance, in your thoughts, in your plans, in your entire day. If you remain awake, you step into that river of blessings. But if you sleep, you walk past it without noticing. Think of it like this. The morning is a seed. What you plant in the early hours, you harvest throughout the day. If you plant gratitude, you will walk with contentment. If you plant Quran, your heart will be guarded. If you plant dua, you will feel strength even in your weakness. If you plant effort, you will see Allah opening doors you didn't even knock on. But sleep after Fajr, it is like letting the seed fall from your hand before it ever meets the soil. My dear brothers and sisters, life is already heavy. We carry worries, unanswered prayers, delayed hopes, and the fears we never speak about. How desperately we need Allah's barakah to lighten that load. How desperately we need His guidance to walk through our days with clarity, patience, and trust. And that is why the morning is sacred. It is Allah telling you, come to me before you go to the world. Wake up with the sky. Let the Quran be the first voice your soul hears. Let gratitude be the first feeling that settles in your heart. Let your plans begin with sincerity and reliance upon Allah. Stand at your window after Fajr. Watch the sun rise. Tell your worries, my Lord is greater than all of you. Tell your heart, today I begin with Allah, so I will not end with regret. Tell your soul, I will not sleep through the blessing meant for me. My dear friends, if you want your life to change, let your mornings change. There is a reason the spiritually strongest people begin their day before the sun. They know the secret. They breathe the secret. They live the secret. Your future, your peace, your clarity, your provision, it may all be waiting for you in those quiet early hours. So tomorrow morning, when Fajr finishes and the temptation to return to sleep whispers to you, fight it. Wake up for your future. Wake up for your heart. Wake up for the barakah that Allah sends just for you. And remember, the one who controls the morning controls the outcome of your entire day. Trust Him. Walk with Him. And watch how your life unfolds with more beauty than you ever imagined. May Allah fill our mornings with barakah, our hearts with light, and our days with purpose. The early hours of the morning are not just a time on the clock, they are a divine gift, a sacred window in which Allah pours blessings that cannot be measured, counted, or fully understood. When a person rises at dawn, when sleep still clings to the eyes and the world is wrapped in a gentle hush, something extraordinary happens. The heart and soul become exposed to a kind of spiritual nourishment that rarely arrives at any other time of day. It is as though the heavens open their doors and invite the believer to step inside, to breathe in mercy, to realign with purpose, and to receive strength that will carry them through the challenges ahead. When you wake in those early hours, it is not merely your body that awakens, your soul awakens too. The distractions that cloud your heart during the day are absent. The noise that normally fills your mind is silent. The ambitions, fears, demands, and pressures of life have not yet risen. What remains is a clarity that allows the soul to feel, understand, and connect with Allah in a way that is deeper, purer, and more honest. Even the air feels different, as if it carries traces of tranquility placed there by divine wisdom. In that moment, the world seems wider, slower, and more peaceful, reminding you that there is more to life than constant movement and endless tasks. There is beauty. There is softness. There is presence. The early hours offer the believer a chance to reset not just physically but spiritually. It is a moment to look inward and ask, who am I? What am I chasing? What do I truly want from this life and the next? The calmness of dawn allows you to see the answers with greater sincerity because your heart is not crowded by the noise of the day. It is like standing before a still lake where your reflection is clear, undisturbed by ripples. You see yourself of what you are and what you can be. You see your weaknesses not with despair but with motivation, and your strengths not with pride but with gratitude. There is a special blessing in the ideas that come to you at dawn. The thoughts that surface feel guided, the emotions that rise feel purified, and the goals you set feel aligned with what truly matters. Many people find inspiration in the morning. Solutions appear where confusion once stood. Patience replaces frustration, and hope slowly resurfaces after being buried by stress. It is during these hours that you realize how powerful the human soul can be when it is not weighed down by the world. You feel lighter, closer to your purpose, and more willing to strive for goodness. The early hours are a gift because they give you a head start on the day. While others are asleep, you are building your foundation. You are gaining clarity, organizing your intentions, and strengthening your connection with your Creator. This spiritual advantage shapes the rest of your day. It influences your patience, your thoughts, your decisions, and even your interactions with others. Those who embrace the mornings often find that their days feel longer, more efficient, and more meaningful. Tasks that normally feel heavy become manageable. Problems that normally overwhelm seem smaller. Conversations feel kinder. And the heart remains more stable, even when difficulties appear. A person who honors the morning honors themselves. They choose discipline over laziness, purpose over comfort, and gratitude over heedlessness. Waking up early is not easy, and that is precisely why it is rewarded with such immense barakah. It is a quiet sacrifice, a private effort known only to you and Allah. There are no crowds applauding you, no awards handed out, no spotlight shining on your discipline. It is done in silence, in darkness, with sincerity. And sincerity is always met with divine generosity. Imagine a person standing by their window at dawn, watching the sky slowly shift from darkness to light. In that moment, they witness a reflection of life itself. No matter how long the night seems, light always returns. No matter how deep the darkness of hardship, Allah always brings relief. The sunrise becomes a reminder that every difficulty has an ending, every tear will eventually dry, and every prayer will be answered at the perfect time. The heart softens and whispers, "My Lord has never abandoned me." This gift of the early hours is also a reminder of how precious time truly is. When you begin your day early, you value the hours that others overlook. You realize that life is made not only of years, but of moments of reflection, gratitude, patience, and closeness to Allah. When these moments are embraced, life becomes richer and more meaningful. The world does not change, but the way you move through it changes. You walk with purpose, clarity, and trust. In the end, the dawn is a whisper from your Creator. Come to me, begin with me. Let me fill your heart before the world drains it. And when you respond to that whisper, you unlock a source of barakah that touches every corner of your day and every corner of your life. There is a unique spiritual power that awakens when the heart rises before the world. It is the kind of power that does not come from strength, wealth, or status. It is the power that comes from being present at a time when the soul is naturally closest to its Creator. Before the sun rises, before people rush into their routines, before the noise and chaos of the day take over, there is a stillness that feels almost sacred. In that stillness, the heart finds clarity, the mind finds calm, and the soul finds a deep sense of connection that is hard to capture once the day begins. These early hours hold a spiritual intimacy that is easy to lose when the world wakes up. It is in these moments that a person finds the strength to face challenges, the patience to endure hardships, and the humility to remember their purpose. This power is not loud or dramatic, it is gentle, steady, and transformative. The spiritual power of the morning comes from the way it removes the barriers that usually stand between the heart and Allah. During the day, we are distracted by work, responsibilities, relationships, expectations, and endless thoughts that pull us in all directions. Our hearts become tangled with worries, desires, and fears. Our minds become cluttered with plans, deadlines, and decisions. But in the early hours, none of these things have woken up yet. The world has not yet pressed its weight onto your shoulders. The heart is free, the mind is clean, and the soul is awake. It is in this openness that spiritual light enters with ease. It is as though every layer that normally covers your heart becomes thin, allowing faith to seep in more deeply, more honestly. There is a reason why prayers, dihika, and reflection feel different at dawn. Words spoken at this time carry more sincerity because they come from a place untouched by fatigue or frustration. Tears shed at this time feel more healing because they flow from a heart not yet hardened by the day. Hope feels more reachable and guidance feels closer. It is as if the world steps aside and allows you to stand alone with your Creator, with nothing between you and Him. In those moments, your vulnerabilities become strength, your silence becomes worship, and your breath itself feels like a prayer. This spiritual power also comes from the courage it takes to rise early. To wake up before the rest of the world, you must battle your own comfort, your own desires, and your own excuses. This inner struggle shapes you. It builds discipline, self-control, and sincerity. Each morning you wake early is a victory over your lower self, a quiet triumph that strengthens your relationship with Allah. By choosing Him over comfort, you are declaring without words that your heart knows its true priority. And when you prioritize Allah, He places strength in you that others cannot see, but you can feel throughout your day. There is also a special sweetness that fills the heart when it gives its first moments to its Creator. Imagine beginning your day with remembrance instead of noise, with gratitude instead of complaints, with clarity instead of confusion. The early hours allow you to decide the tone of your day. When you begin with spiritual focus, it becomes easier to stay patient when tested. When you begin with remembrance, it becomes easier to avoid sin. When you begin with reflection, it becomes easier to choose kindness. This is why the early hours give a person spiritual resilience. The strength you gain at dawn becomes a shield that guards your heart from negativity, frustration, and despair. Another aspect of this spiritual power is the way it makes you more aware of Allah's presence in your life. When you rise early, when the sky is still dim and the world is silent, you cannot help but feel that you are witnessing something miraculous. The slow rise of light, the coolness of the air, the stillness of everything around you, they remind you of Allah's control over time, nature, and every moment of existence. You feel small, yet cherished. You feel weak, yet protected. You feel insignificant in the vastness of creation, yet important enough for Allah to invite you into a time filled with His mercy. This awareness humbles the heart, softens the soul, and strengthens faith. When the early hours are embraced consistently, a person begins to notice changes within themselves. Their patience grows because they start the day with calmness rather than rush. Their gratitude deepens because they have tasted the sweetness of solitude with Allah. Their focus improves because their mind was given a chance to breathe before being filled with responsibilities. Their stress decreases because they feel spiritually grounded before life's challenges appear. This is the power of the morning. It does not remove your problems, but it equips your heart with the strength to face them. The spiritual power of the early hours is not something that can be fully described. It must be experienced. It is the peace that settles into your chest when you whisper a prayer at dawn. It is the strength that carries you when the world feels overwhelming. It is the clarity that comes when you seek guidance in silence. It is the hope that rises with the sun, reminding you that Allah never leaves you, never forgets you, and never withholds blessings from a heart that turns to Him sincerely. This is the secret. When the heart awakens before the world, Allah fills it with a light that outshines every darkness the day may bring. There is a quiet loss that many people experience without even realizing it, a loss that occurs when they sleep after Fajr and unknowingly turn away from the very moment in which Allah pours blessings into the day. It is not a loss you can calculate, measure, or see with the naked eye. It is a loss that settles into life softly. A day that feels rushed, time that slips through your fingers, plans that don't unfold smoothly, energy that feels drained, and a heart that carries a heaviness without knowing why. This loss is the absence of Morning Barakah, the blessing meant for those who choose to remain awake, connected and present in the early hours. When a person sleeps after Fajr, they close the door on an opportunity that was created with immense wisdom. The early morning, especially right after Fajr, is like a spiritual sunrise within the soul. Allah places a unique blessing in that period, a blessing in productivity, provision, clarity, and emotional strength. When someone chooses to sleep at that moment, it is as though they are turning away from a treasure placed directly in front of them. Not out of rebellion, but out of habit, comfort, or the belief that they can function just as well without it. Yet the truth is that the loss is real, even if it is subtle. Think of the morning as a gentle river of blessings flowing past your home. When you stay awake after Fajr, you step into that river and let it wash over your heart and your day. But when you sleep, the river keeps flowing, only without you in it. The barakah does not disappear, it just passes by unused. Over time, that missed blessing becomes noticeable. You start to wonder why your time feels insufficient, why your thoughts feel scattered, why your heart feels heavier, and why your day feels harder than it should. You don't realize that the answer was hidden in the moments you slept through every morning. There is a natural openness in the soul during those dawn hours. When you sleep after Fajr, you shut down that openness before it has the chance to be filled with guidance, calmness, and divine mercy. You miss the softness of the heart that only the early hours provide. You miss the clarity that comes before the world awakens, before your phone lights up with messages, before responsibilities begin knocking at your attention. You miss the emotional strength that forms when your first conversations are with Allah, not the world. Sleeping after Fajr also disrupts the natural rhythm that Allah created for the human body. The body is meant to rise with light and rest with darkness. When a person goes back to sleep after Fajr, they confuse their internal system. This leads to grogginess, reduced alertness, and a kind of sluggishness that follows them throughout the day. Many people wake up later in the morning feeling tired, not realizing that this exhaustion came from ignoring the natural spiritual and physical rhythm designed by their Creator. Staying awake after Fajr aligns your body, mind, and soul with the divine order. Ignoring it creates imbalance and fatigue, not as a reminder that the body has been taken out of the flow it was meant to follow. On a deeper spiritual level, sleeping after Fajr closes the door on a time when dua is especially powerful. There is something incredibly profound about raising your hands in those early hours when the world is quiet and your heart is humble. Your requests feel more sincere. Your gratitude feels more real. Your tears fall with more meaning. To sleep after Fajr is to let that moment pass without calling upon the one who can change everything for you with a single command. It is also a time when ideas form with clarity. Solutions to problems, plans for the day, inspiration for goals, and insights about your life often come effortlessly in the early morning. When you sleep, you miss these flashes of wisdom. You wake later to a cluttered mind instead of one that was shaped by tranquility. You lose the calm foundation that could have guided every decision and reaction in your day. Those who remain awake after Fajr often notice something else, an inexplicable smoothness to their day. Not the absence of problems, but a lightness in dealing with them. a sense that Allah is helping them, guiding them, supporting them. This is the barakah that many people miss when they sleep after Fajr. Without it, the smallest tasks become burdensome, small irritations feel magnified, and patience runs thin. The day feels heavier because the heart did not receive its morning nourishment. Sleeping after Fajr also leads to missed opportunities for self-growth. In the early hours, the mind is fresh, the heart is soft, and discipline is easier to build. Reading, learning, journaling, reflecting, or planning is more meaningful at this time. When you sleep, you lose the chance to build habits that could transform your life. You lose the chance to nurture your spiritual identity, to align your purpose, and to start your day with intentionality instead of chaos. But the greatest loss of all is missing the chance to walk with Allah's light. When you stay awake after Fajr, you walk into the day carrying a spiritual glow that protects you, guides you, and steadies you. When you sleep, you walk into the day with only your own strength, and human strength alone is never enough. In the end, the loss of sleeping after Fajr is not about missing hours. It is about missing blessings that could have carried you, lifted you, supported you, and transformed your entire day. Staying awake is not just a habit, it is a doorway to a life filled with barakah, clarity, and spiritual peace. Transformation begins in the quiet choices a person makes when no one is watching. And few choices shape a life as deeply as the decision to embrace the early morning with discipline, gratitude, and trust in Allah. These three qualities are like threads that, when woven together, create a fabric of strength that covers every part of a believer's life. You begin to notice that the person you are becoming is not the same as the person you are. You think differently, react differently, walk differently, and even feel differently, all because you choose to honor the gift of the morning and align your heart with Allah's guidance. Discipline in the early hours is not simply about waking up and staying awake. It is about reclaiming authority over your own soul. It is about refusing to live under the control of laziness, fatigue, or worldly distractions. When you discipline yourself to rise after Fajr, to start your day with purpose rather than comfort, you confront your own desires and overcome them. This inner struggle sharpens you in ways nothing else can. Every time you push yourself to stay awake, to be productive, to remember Allah instead of returning to sleep, you are strengthening a spiritual muscle, the muscle of self-control. Over time, this discipline spreads into other areas. You become more focused, more patient, more organized, and more in tune with your responsibilities. The morning becomes a training ground, shaping you into a better version of yourself without needing applause or recognition. Transformation through discipline is quiet but powerful. It shapes the character before it shapes the day. Then comes gratitude, which softens the heart and illuminates the soul. The early hours are full of reminders that you are blessed beyond measure. The rising sun, the cool breeze, the silence, each one is a sign of Allah's mercy, a sign that He allows you to witness the beauty of life again. When you remain awake after Fajr, gratitude naturally blooms. You begin your day by acknowledging the gifts you never earned but constantly receive, the opportunity to live another day, the possibility of new beginnings. Gratitude shifts your mindset from focusing on what you lack to appreciating what you have. It lifts the burdens on your heart and replaces them with calmness. When a grateful heart walks through the day, it sees blessings where others see problems. It sees lessons where others see obstacles. It sees Allah's care in every situation, even in the difficult ones. And when gratitude is planted early in the morning, it grows throughout the entire day, influencing the way you speak, act, and think. Trust in Allah is the final element, and it brings everything together. Staying awake after Fajr teaches you that the day is not in your control, but in Allah's. You do your part by waking early, by seeking His guidance, by taking the first steps, and you leave the rest to Him. This trust brings a peace that the world cannot offer. It reminds you that no matter how uncertain life becomes, no matter how heavy your challenges feel, Allah sees your effort and will never abandon you. Trust means believing that every delay has wisdom, every hardship has purpose, and every morning carries new mercy. It means understanding that while you may not know what the day holds, you know who holds the day. When a person anchors their morning with trust, they walk into life with confidence, not because everything is easy, but because they know they are not walking alone. Together, these three qualities create a transformation that ripples through your entire life. Discipline shapes your heart, and trust shapes your heart look. You become steadier, calmer, more hopeful. You learn to navigate challenges with patience and to appreciate simple blessings more deeply. You respond to difficulties with maturity and to blessings with humility. You begin to realize that personal growth is not found in grand achievements, but in the small, consistent choices that align you with Allah's pleasure. When the morning becomes a place of discipline, gratitude, and trust, it becomes a spring from which you drink strength throughout your day. You find that you are less shaken by stress, less overwhelmed by responsibilities, less disturbed by negativity. You carry a lightness within you, not because life is suddenly perfect, but because your heart is anchored. You have built a foundation that makes you resilient. You have created a relationship with the morning that feeds your soul before the world drains it. And as this transformation continues, you start to see life for what it truly is, a journey that requires effort, appreciation, and unwavering trust in the one who guides every step. This is the beauty of embracing the morning fully. It doesn't just give you a better day, it gives you a better you. It gives you strength rooted in discipline, a heart softened by gratitude, and a spirit lifted by trust in Allah. And when these qualities become part of your daily life, everything changes from the inside out. A call to action is not simply a set of instructions, it is a stirring of the soul, a reminder of who you can become and what you were always capable of. When you understand the beauty and barakah hidden in the early morning, something inside you awakens. You feel a pull toward a better version of yourself, a longing to reclaim your purpose, and a desire to step into your day with Allah's light surrounding you. This call to reclaim your mornings is not about productivity alone, it is about reconnecting with your own heart, nurturing your relationship with Allah, and walking through life with intention instead of drifting aimlessly. It is a call to rise above the noise, the habits that drain you, and return to the spiritual rhythm that your soul was designed for. To answer this call is to make a promise to yourself that you will no longer let your mornings slip away in sleep or neglect. You will no longer surrender the most blessed part of your day to laziness. You will show up for yourself, for your faith, and for your future. Imagine standing at the edge of a quiet dawn, watching the sky gradually lighten. The world is still, life feels freshly washed, and for a moment, you sense the presence of Allah so deeply that it humbles you. In that stillness, your heart whispers, "This is where I belong." A call to action begins right there, in that tiny spark of clarity, in that moment when your soul remembers its true priorities. Reclaiming your mornings means choosing purpose over comfort. It means allowing your first steps of the day to be guided by sincerity rather than habit. It is about returning to the spiritual discipline that shapes your character and your destiny. When the alarm rings and your body feels heavy, you remind yourself that greatness begins with small sacrifices. You remind yourself that every battle against your lower self is a step closer to strength. You remind yourself that the reward for rising early is not just barakah in your day, but barakah in your heart. Walking with Allah's light throughout the day is a direct result of how you begin your morning. When you start with reflection, with remembrance, with intention, you carry a calmness within you, a kind of quiet wisdom that helps you navigate everything that comes afterward. When you step into your responsibilities with a heart that has already spoken to its Creator, you walk differently. You handle stress differently. You respond to people differently. You carry a gentleness and confidence that others can sense, even if they cannot explain it. This is because the one who begins their morning with Allah carries a hidden torch that illuminates their path long after the sun has risen. A powerful call to action requires honesty. You must ask yourself, how many mornings have you wasted? How much barakah has slipped through your fingers because you chose sleep instead of purpose? How many prayers could have been strengthened? How many worries soothed? How many days transformed if you had simply stayed awake to embrace the blessing Allah placed at the start of your day? These are not questions meant to shame you. They are meant to awaken you. Because your future is shaped not by yesterday's mistakes, but by the choices you make today. There will be days when rising early feels difficult. Days when your body resists and your mind argues. Days when you wonder if your effort even matters. But this is where the true meaning of the call to action becomes clear. You rise not because it is easy, but because it is meaningful. You rise because your soul needs it. You rise because Allah says every struggle you endure for His sake, every quiet sacrifice. You rise because you trust that Allah will place barakah in the steps you take, even the small ones. And when you respond to this call wholeheartedly, you begin to witness change. You notice that your days feel smoother, your heart feels lighter, your time becomes more blessed, and your patience grows without you realizing it. You find yourself less overwhelmed by life, more connected to your purpose, and more trusting of Allah's timing. You begin to recognize that your mornings were never meant to be rushed or neglected. They were meant to be the grounding force, the spiritual anchor, the moment where your day and your heart take their first breath together. To answer this call is to choose growth over stagnation. It is to decide that you are ready to live with more intention, more clarity, and more faith. It is to acknowledge that the person you wish to become, more disciplined, more peaceful, more spiritually aware, is built in the early hours when the world sleeps but your soul awakens. It is to say to yourself, I will not let another morning pass without purpose. I will not walk through my day without Allah's light. This call to action is your invitation to return to the path of barakah, to reclaim the mornings that shape you, and to walk through life with a heart illuminated by faith. It is a reminder that transformation begins not with grand gestures, but with a quiet decision made at dawn. And when you answer that call, you step into a version of yourself who is stronger, calmer, more hopeful, and more connected to Allah than ever before.